Hey guys, my name is Sarah Michelle. I am a Disney College Program alumni. I did the program from May 2014 to May 2015. And today I'm going to be discussing one of the more important steps in the application process, which is the phone interview. If you apply for the DCP, the first thing you're going to do is the online application, and from there you'll move on to the web-based interview. Now, at the end of the web-based interview, you will get kind of a pop-up message that'll say either, "Thank you for your time, but you are no longer in consideration for the Disney College program," or you will get a pop-up message that says, "Next step phone interview, congratulations, you are a strong candidate. You will be able to schedule your phone interview within 24 hours. Now, even though it does say 24 hours, if you did pass the web-based interview, it could take days, weeks, hours for you to get that invitation to schedule your phone interview. Last year when I applied for the DCP, I got my phone interview scheduled about half an hour after my web-based interview. So it went pretty quickly that time. This year, however, I'm applying for the 2016 spring program, and although I passed my web-based interview, I still haven't gotten that invitation to schedule my phone interview. After contacting recruiting, they did say they're a little behind, so it could take a few weeks for you to hear back anything. So if you're in the same boat as I am, just be patient. I know it's kind of nerve-wracking, even as an alumni who's been through this process and been accepted before. It doesn't really get easier, I'm sorry to tell you, but breathe, relax, try to take your mind off it, and do not refresh your email over and over again because it will drive you crazy. You will hear something by the end of recruiting season, which is November 13th, although usually you do hear something sooner. Just be patient, keep faith, and just keep checking periodically, not over and over again. Okay, so that being said, the first thing that's going to happen with your phone interview is you're going to set up a time. Try to pick a time when you know you're going to have a good amount of time free, because you will kind of be nervous beforehand. You will want to prepare. So pick a day that you don't have to be at work right away, or a day when you're not going to try and schedule it right between classes. I mean, if that's how you have to do it, then that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you have a free day or even a couple free hours in which you can schedule your phone interview, then I definitely suggest doing that so you can kind of relax and not be freaking out during classes or during work or whatever it is. Also, try to plan a place where you're going to take your phone interview. Last year when I did my phone interview, I did it in the empty room we had in our dorm. One of my roommates had moved out, so we had an empty bedroom that still had chairs and beds and stuff in it. So I just went in there, just kind of got comfortable. They can call you 15 minutes before or 15 minutes after your scheduled time. Just make sure you have a quiet place and make sure that you have reception. During my phone interview, my call did drop, which you really don't want to happen. I heard a lot like, oh, if it drops, the recruiters won't call you back. A lot of the times they do call you back. My call dropped and she called me back immediately. And I apologized and she said, "Don't worry about it. It happens all the time. Can you hear me okay?" And that was fine. But you want to make sure you have good reception so that, one, you're not dropping the call, but two, you don't want to have that kind of, "Can you hear me now?" Broken up connection with your recruiter, because it does kind of keep the interview from flowing smoothly. So, once you have decided on a date and time and you know where you're going to kind of take your interview, the next step is preparing. For me personally, I found that watching YouTube videos was really, really helpful. Obviously, you think the same thing or else you wouldn't be watching this video. But I think watching videos, even though a lot of them say the same thing, like find a quiet place, write down your top roles, things like that, it kind of helps to see different people, how they handled their interviews personally. There's a lot of blogs on like Tumblr, things like that, where people kind of put questions that they got asked or how they prepare. Do your research, look online, whatever helps you to kind of feel ready for the questions that they're going to ask you. I found a lot of great YouTube videos out there that made me feel comfortable and kind of eased my nerves. It made it seem not so scary, and it got me excited for my phone interview instead of me being kind of scared and nervous and panicking. Watching other people gave me a little bit of comfort. I will link down below a couple of videos that I found that were really helpful to me in my process. So if you need some more inspiration or a couple more people to look at, I'll go ahead and put those down below. Now, while you're waiting for your phone interview, I'd suggest keeping some sort of like written notes that you can use during your interview. They will ask you what your top roles are. So from your application, you do rate roles high interest, low interest, moderate interest. If you can remember what those rules were, I would suggest kind of writing each one down. That way when your interviewer asks you about those roles, you remember what they are. And also, if you do a little bit of research on those roles, write down some bullet points about why you think you would be good at those roles. Again, there's plenty of YouTube videos and blogs that talk more specifically about the phone interview questions for certain roles. A couple examples: if you are character attending, they might ask you, if you were with Mickey Mouse and he had to go off set, how would you explain to a little kid that Mickey has to go on break without ruining the magic? So kind of think of stuff like that. Or how do you tell a child that they aren't tall enough to ride your attraction? Simple things. They don't seem that hard to answer, but you want to make sure you have a Disney answer. Unlike the web-based interview where you get told to make sure you're being yourself and be completely honest, you still want to be honest in the phone interview, but you also want to be in that Disney cast member mindset. You don't want to be like, oh, well, I wouldn't let the kid ride, because obviously you're not going to let the child ride, but they want to hear how you could be a good cast member and how you could help that family and keep that magic and just kind of keep that storyline going. So make sure you prepare for questions like that, situational questions. They will also ask you a lot about safety, if you feel comfortable doing evacuations, if you're interested in attractions, and if you're okay standing out in the sun for long periods of time, if you prefer indoor or outdoor. So make sure you are familiar with the roles you're interested in, and if you changed your mind about anything from your application, such as a role that you put down, let's say you put down lifeguarding and you decided, you know what, I don't think I want to do lifeguarding anymore, feel free to let them know. They're not going to not hire you because you changed your mind. They'd rather you be honest in the phone interview than get down to Florida or to California and have you realize that you're in a role that you hate or a role that you're not interested in. So be honest with them, because they can find somewhere to put you now, but they can't always find somewhere to move you to later. So if you lose interest, just tell them, you know what, I was doing some research on this role that I put high interest on, and I don't think that I would be a good fit for that role. If possible, I would prefer not to do that. And they can change it on your application during your phone interview. So don't be afraid to speak your mind. Don't be afraid to be honest. Also, some interviewers do ask you, do you have a certain park or a certain attraction you'd like to work in? Don't give them a huge list, but feel free to be honest if they do ask you. And if they don't ask you, even in some of your answers, if you're creative enough, you can kind of hint at certain parks and attractions. And sometimes the recruiters are very nice, and I've heard of a lot of people getting placed where they kind of hinted at in their interviews. Alright, so the day of your interview, you're going to be nervous. No matter what you do, it just happens, you get nervous. Find something that relaxes you. If you don't want to think about Disney because it's stressing you out, then listen to some music, watch a movie, watch Netflix, do something to get your mind off it. But if you're like me, I watched those YouTube videos of the parents surprising the kids with Disney trips, because that got me really excited and kind of emotional, and it pumped me up for the phone interview. And I was blasting Disney music, which kind of helped a lot. It got me excited. It kind of focused me in on why I wanted to work for the company and that kind of magic that I wanted to create for guests. So do whatever will relax you, whatever makes you feel comfortable. Try not to stress out. I know it's hard to, you will, but just breathe. I suggest keeping a bottle of water nearby. I did kind of get dry mouth from the nerves while I was doing my interview. Last interview, I did have some peanut M&Ms and little snacks to eat, not during the interview, but while I was waiting, to kind of calm my nerves, try to keep me busy so I wasn't just staring at my phone. Once your interviewer calls, I would suggest writing down their name on your little notebook or Post-its or whatever it is that you have your notes on. Have fun, relax. Feel free to ask them questions about themselves. My last interviewer, I asked her how she started with the company, and she actually told me a great story. She was second in command for the vice president of Disney, and she ended up working her way up from the Disney store to that position, and she'd been with the company for 14 years. So your interviewers are cast members too. I know it makes you kind of nervous to ask them those questions, but feel free to ask them where they got their start, because they do appreciate telling their story. Have fun, make sure you thank them by name, thank them for their time, and feel free to tell them to have a magical day. After all, you are trying to work for Disney. Show them that you have the personality for Disney, but have fun, relax. If it's meant to be, it'll happen, and if not, you've made it this far in the process once, you can do it again next season. It's not a big deal, so make sure you give it your all during your phone interview. Well, after the phone interview is done, you will wait and wait for a really long time. It kind of varies season to season. They told me 2 to 3 weeks last season when I applied, and then at the 3-week mark I got an email saying that I would have to wait till the end of the season. So I was basically like pended is what they call it, which made me very nervous. But then I ended up hearing about 2 weeks after that, so about a month after my phone interview, I got an acceptance, which is very exciting. But if you don't hear anything back right after your phone interview, don't be nervous, don't panic. The waiting is the worst part, but just keep faith, keep hope, know that you did well. Don't start second guessing yourself or thinking like, oh no, I shouldn't have told them that, or oh, like I should have answered this question differently, because it's done, it's over with, it's already in the past. Just keep moving forward. For me, I found the best way to pass the time was to watch Walt Disney World documentaries on the Travel Channel, because I had never been to Florida and that's what I applied for. So trying to keep that positivity and that excitement, just kind of tried to keep that Disney attitude. It is hard to kind of stay positive during the process. I had friends that applied a few weeks after me that got accepted way before I did. And so watching all my friends kind of get accepted and me still waiting on an answer was extremely nerve-wracking. But I will tell you one thing, your acceptance or your denial, it's going to come when you expect it. So sitting there refreshing your email all the time isn't really going to help. I had basically given up hope on an acceptance one day and just happened to pick up my phone as the email popped up. And it was magical and it was wonderful. But like I said, it was totally unexpected. So try not to worry too much about it. After your phone interview, just kind of brush it off and just kind of keep that whatever happens, happens attitude. If you get denied, try not to lose hope. I was accepted my first time applying, but I know a lot of people that applied 3 or 4 times before they got accepted, and they finally did, and they finally got to go and have this amazing opportunity. So if it's something you really want, don't give up, don't get discouraged. I know it's hard, and I know it's sad, and I know when you have your heart set on it, it's kind of upsetting when you don't get accepted, or when you have to wait for a long time. But you know what? A lot of people have gone through this, a lot of people have done it, so you definitely can too. Just keep that kind of positive attitude, keep loving Disney, and just keep faith that if you don't get in this time, there's always going to be a next time. And for those of you who are applying this season or waiting for a phone interview, waiting for an answer from a phone interview, I'm in the same boat as you are. I definitely understand the nerves and just kind of how scary it can be, but to quote one of my favorite Disney movies, we're all in this together. Thanks for watching this video. Hopefully my tips and tricks kind of help you out a little bit as far as the phone interview goes. If you have any other questions about the Disney College program, the application process, or the phone interview, feel free to leave comments down below. I will also link a couple of videos that I found helpful, as well as my Instagram if you want to see pictures from my last program. Make sure if you like this video, you give me some thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel to watch the videos I'll have coming up.